So you've just bought a new camera, have been using it in auto mode for some time, but you are not satisfied with what it's doing automatically, because a running person turns out to be blurry, or you want to have more control over the amount of depth of field. Well, first of all, congratulations on the new camera, and the second thing is that you've chosen the right video. Because today we're talking manual mode, how to use shutter speed, aperture and ISO for photos, as well as for videos, because there are some nuances in video you have to know in order to get it right. Let's start with shutter speed, because it's kinda self-explanatory. The shutter speed number displays for how long the shutter stays open. For example, the number 50 means that the shutter is open for 1/50th of a second. The faster the shutter, the less light is going to get on the sensor, but the less the shutter speed is, the more motion blur is going to be introduced into your photo. It means that if you are trying to photograph something that is moving, your shutter speed should be high in order to stop this action mid-air. But the amount of light should be higher for such a photograph. Unfortunately for video, this parameter almost always stays locked, because there is something that is called 180-degree rule, which states that your shutter speed should be double your frame rate in order to produce motion blur similar to how our eyes are seeing the world. It means that if you are shooting your video at 24 frames per second, your shutter speed must be at 1/50th of a second throughout the whole shoot. It also means that you only got 2 ways left to control your exposure in camera. Aperture is this iris inside of a lens that can close and open, thus regulating the amount of light that is going to reach the sensor. But it regulates not only the amount of light, but also how narrow the focus area is going to be, thus the depth of field. That's why if you are outside on a beautiful sunny day and you want to shoot video with a shallow depth of field, you're going to encounter a problem. As we remember, the shutter speed in video is determined by the frame rate and cannot be changed. Let's suppose that ISO is already set to a minimum and there is still too much light. Then we would have to start closing the aperture to reach the adequate amount of light. But at the same time, we will be increasing the depth of field, making it less beautiful. What is the solution? Use a variable ND filter, which would block some of the light before it enters the lens. Now ISO. ISO is the sensitivity of a sensor. If the shutter speed and aperture are set as needed and there is still not enough light, then we need to increase ISO. The only drawback is that the higher the ISO, the more digital noise is being introduced to the image. Sometimes it can be managed with various denoisers in post, but it's best to avoid. That's why, if there is not enough light, the best solution will be to bring more light. It is important to understand that all these 3 parameters cannot exist separately, they are all intertwined. And a good photographer or cinematographer needs to know what value he's going to use in the particular scene almost instantly. It easily can be achieved with practice. Forget about auto mode completely and shoot as much as you can in manual mode. And soon you will be changing these parameters without even thinking about them. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!